Well, I gave you all my love and I gave you all my trust and I gave you everything that you need. But you only told me lies and you made me realize that, babe, you ain't no good for me. I can't be with you, you can't be true. And I know just what I got to do. Gonna hit the ground running, running, running just as fast as I can. Gonna hit the ground running, running, running just as fast as I can. Ooh. Well, you're begging me to stay, but I'm going my own way, and the skies ain't looking cloudy or gray. I won't even roll the dice so that you can't play me twice, no babe. Who do you think I am? Well, I'm gonna take my own road, and I'm sorry, baby, you can't go. Gotta hit the ground running, running, running just as fast as I can. Gotta hit the ground running, running, running just as fast as I can. Well, I know you say you're sorry and that you do right, but babe, who do you take me for? Yes, I see you crying, but before those tears are drying, baby, I'm headed for that door. Gonna hit the ground running.
Next week on This American Life, we interview the powerful and rich that answer to no one! No one! Fucking no one! No.
Welcome to WYCD Wicked, that stands for What You Can Do. It's your old pal Jake, and welcome to a new week. Delighted to have you here. How are you doing? Wicked Foxy Dragon, good to see you, my friend. Purred Beard, hello. Rustbox, hello. Delighted to have you. Well, if you're like me of 5 minutes ago, you're wondering what happened. What happened to that Saturday clip? Well, I uploaded it kind of quick and set it for a date in the distant future that it ensures it will be irrelevant. My apologies. We'll do another premiere some other time. Oh well, there is better stuff to talk about today regardless. I'm looking forward to a couple of viewer suggestions. Just tip top. One of which I'd very much like to watch with yous, because it deals with people that fell for the MAGA grift, and I want to understand better what the hell is up with that. Because to anybody else around the world, it is indecipherable what exactly the appeal is. So we're gonna work our way up there. Some other things to talk about first, but delighted to be back in the saddle and a new week here with y'all. Ooh, I don't want that. There we go. Let's jump into it though, because we got a suggestion from TYT Investigates that I want to dive into. Let's keep raising up some of these folks that are doing a great job in Congress. One of the things that I think is very important for us to do here is to applaud those politicians which do a good job of shutting down the nonsense. They make it very easy for folks to see the stark contrast between sanity and insanity that exists between everybody else and MAGA right now. Frankly, it's progressives and MAGA. And then a whole lot of people in between who are simply there to appease their billionaire bosses. let's jump into it. This is a piece by TYT Investigates, and it's showing someone who shut down more MAGA. Not a MAGA politician, but simply a piece of bigotry being tossed around in a public forum. Let's have a look.
This stuff that's in the books, it's garbage. It is pornographic. The Word of God says that there is one man.
Already I'm furious. And yes, excuse me, it's not a congressman. I'm sorry. I got thrown by the podium. Still good to raise this person up, though, because, in fact, arguably even better, because this is something you can do the very next city council meeting that is held in your area. This is something you can do. This person is uniquely qualified, it looks like. Let's still watch it together, and bear in mind that, look, these crazies love turning out to city council meetings. And when only they turn out there, then your city council thinks, holy God, if I want to keep my tiny little paper crown in this town, I better appease these nut jobs, because that's who my constituents are. Disabuse them of that notion. Show up to these things and be like this historian. All right, let's listen to it. Here's the nut job.
One woman, there's two genders only. The Word of God says that there is one man, one woman, there's two genders only.
I hold a master's in library and information science. So what I understand is that these proposals are the equivalent of hiring a lawyer who hasn't passed the bar or scheduling surgery with a doctor who isn't licensed to practice. It will lower our city's standards. I know the people of Huntington Beach, and I trust that our community can handle the freedom to choose what is right for them at the library. Hi, my name is Laura Adelot. I am a current resident of Huntington Beach, and I grew up here. This is my hometown. I'm here today to address the proposal to undermine our city's library with 3 points. First, I want to echo something I've been hearing a lot of in regard to this proposal, which is that it is insulting to the people of Huntington Beach. The proposed changes suggest that we as individuals, as parents, as a community, are not smart enough or strong enough to walk into a library and make decisions for ourselves or talk to our children about making decisions about how to encounter a wide array of books and make choices and judgments that are right for us and for our families.
All right, point number 1. Let's jump right at that. Great job turning their rhetoric around against them. The great news, if you want to be doing what this person's doing, is that the people you'll be speaking out against provide for you a playbook as to how to take them down. Apparently the man is after me. Oh, never mind. It's just a child abduction alert. Dark times. It's one I've also already seen. Unfortunately, I'm no longer in that area, but I'll keep my eyes peeled. They provide a playbook for you to take down what they're talking about. And if you invert everything they say, you'll find, oh, that's where sense lies. So yes, they're talking about parents' rights when they say we want to take away a parent's rights to teach their children as they please. And this woman has correctly turned it around and said it's an insult to the parents of this community to suggest that they cannot decide for themselves what books their children can read. And listen to the language that MAGA uses. Listen to the language. They say, I want to decide what my kid can read, but what then functionally are they doing? They're taking the ability for you to decide what your kid can read. They already had the ability to say, little Timmy, little Susie, whatever. Don't read X, Y, and Z. You're not allowed. They already had that ability. What they didn't have was the ability to go to your little Timmy or your little Susie and say, you're not allowed to read this. So instead, they bullied the school board, who is significantly weaker in terms of character than your little Timmy or Susie, and has resulted in this. So this woman has correctly spun this around. We can take a lesson from the way she's talking now. It's an insult to parents to say that they don't have the ability to decide for themselves what is best for their children. To right you, my dear, to right you.
You may notice I said my degree is in information science. This is because it's the absolute mission of librarians, the thing that is drilled into you in library school, that the librarian's role is to impartially provide his or her community with access to information that exists in the world, as much information and as wide and varied information as possible. We all want librarians to be the ones doing that job because they are the ones who trust you as members of their community to be smart and strong in what you do with that information. Like it?
That is a noble calling, for the record. I did not know that that was taught in librarian school, and I'm delighted to hear that it is.
Hate it, refuse to engage with it, that's up to you. Finally, an historical point. My own work as an historian and a librarian took me to Philadelphia, where I've worked firsthand with Revolutionary-era letters and pamphlets written by our founding fathers. One thing that stands out when reading those early documents is how vital the freedom of information was to the founding of our country. Benjamin Franklin founded our first library and was our nation's first librarian. The sometimes controversial books he selected for that initial library helped our nation grow from ideas into action. After all, Franklin and friends had some pretty radical and shocking opinions for their times. They all knew that if England had appointed some British city attorney as head librarian in Franklin's place, that the history of America might be very different. So let's be smart, let's be strong, and let's continue to support the centuries-old American tradition that freedom of information for...
Good honor. Good honor. Remember that at every city council meeting, you have an opportunity to have a similar moment. And I bet you that in the crowd, there are people who are waiting for someone who is brave enough to stand up and say the thing they wish they said. And they will clap for that person. And you know what? If they're not in the crowd, then the reason they are not there is because nobody has shown up to do that whenever they did turn up. So start showing up. Start talking out about, the various insane things local crackpots want to do in your community, because we have allowed a culture to spring up amongst the crackpots of interfering with grown-ass adult politics, which has led to the evil child version of politics that is MAGA. You know, the kind of cruel, awful, with no true understanding things toddlers say. That's a whole political party now, because we have simply left that space vacant so it was filled with filth. Got to clear them out. Show up at your local community meetings. We did last week play the equivalent of that in the Pennsylvania House of Representatives, talking about minimum wage. I would recommend, if you got the guts and you don't have a career that you are particularly passionate about right now, or at least one that if you've got a career that you can set aside for a couple of years, I would recommend taking a whack at running for office. Doesn't even have to be on a national level. Run for your state house. You'll make a world of difference to the people who live in your community. But at the very least, turn up to some of these city council meetings. And even if you're not feeling confident to go up and speak your piece about this or that, be there to applaud for the person that is. Be there to support the person who braves the unknown crowd, and give them a pleasant surprise. Regardless, I love seeing the pushback these days. It's dark now, but that's because dawn's right around the corner. Hey, Dino. It's a good place to let off some steam. Absolutely. And yes, good to see you back, Foxy. Anti-corporate is saying. I wholeheartedly agree. Missed you on Friday, and then I missed Saturday, so I can't blame you. Just some guy. Welcome back, Jake. Well, thank you. Mars Falcon. Haha. Hanging in. Good to see you, my friend. Well, howdy. John Bailey, hello, in San Francisco, California. My word. I'll tell you, I got a sister that lives out that way, and I do very much look forward to mooching in the near future. If I'm out that way, I'll let you know that I'm stinking up your neck of the woods. Oh. Okay. Ooh, we got tea. You know how we've been saying that all states should really look into this whole fake elector thing? You know how that's been a topic of harping for some time on this here channel? Our good friend Brian Tyler Cohen does a great breakdown of some new reporting that serves as a big fat I told you so. It's not even me that did the telling of so's. It was really basically everybody who wasn't Merrick Garland. But anyway, let's do this proper. Brian Tyler Cohen has he's got a good breakdown of some new evidence that happens to have surged into the spotlight, as he calls it. Wouldn't you just know it? One of the other 7 fake elector states. There were 5 fake elector states without a state-level investigation going into the ne'er-do-welling there. Ne'er-do-welling, there we go. And I'm going to quit toying with this thing. I just really want to enjoy the moment. You see, Donald John Trump seems to have pressured other officials to overturn the election. Now, how? How could we have been so prescient? We, the American people, we, everybody but Merrick Garland. Well, maybe because he called the governor of Arizona while the guy was signing the freaking document certifying the election results, and the ringtone the guy had was "Hail to the Chief."
The Washington Post has revealed that the former president and current Republican frontrunner Donald Trump had also pressured Arizona Governor Doug Ducey to overturn Arizona's election results in 2020. In contrast with other officials that Trump pulled the same stunt with, Ducey didn't record his call with Trump. But Trump was so persistent that he sent Mike Pence to persuade Ducey to gift him the election in Arizona. Ultimately, Arizona did certify its election results, officially awarding Biden its 11 electors.
Oh, he's got those stealth jabs. In contrast, let's just hear that line again. Hold on. In contrast, he says.
Trump was so persistent that he sent Mike Pence to persuade Ducey to gift him record his call with Trump. In contrast with other officials that Trump pulled the same stunt with, Ducey didn't record his call with Trump. But Trump was so...
Just really underlining that this thing that we have new bombshell evidence of, we already have a full-on recording in other states. The work of proving this damn thing has been done dozens of times over by everybody in the world except the people whose job it is to prove the damn thing. This is not like if your cat brought you a bird to show you how to hunt. This is like if your cat cooked you a 3-course human appealing to dinner. Cooked you a roast pheasant with potatoes and a nice, a summer salad. and served it up with all the proper utensils and poured you a nice, tall, cool glass of lemonade to wash it all down, set up the utensils on the table, dragged you to the table, set you in the chair, put a knife and fork in your hands, and tucked a bib in for you. Really, all Merrick Garland has to do is eat the damn thing. At this point. But all right, great. Here's another one. Here's dessert.
So persistent that he sent Mike Pence to persuade Ducey to gift him the election in Arizona. Ultimately, Arizona did certify its election results, officially awarding Biden its 11 electors. Biden became only the second Democrat in 70 years to win Arizona, beating Trump by 10,457 votes. Ducey's decision angered Trump so much that he decided to call the Arizona governor while he was publicly signing the certification paperwork.
I forgot about that. That it was Hail to the Chief that was actually playing. It wasn't until I saw this crop up again that came flooding back. Literally, Hail to the Chief. Playing as, as the guy's job is being signed away. Oh, what a sore, pathetic loser. My God. And then the trying desperately to shut it up before setting it aside. Just just delightful. Man. Oh, God. All right. Let's get into the nitty-gritty here.
When asked about this moment at a press conference later, Ducey stated that he kept his conversation with Trump in confidence, which is probably code for, I didn't want to have a record of Trump saying illegal things to me for fear of being dragged into some inevitable litigation.
Have you spoken with him about Arizona's election results? Did he ask you at any point not to sign that certification?
So it was the White House calling during the election results. Well, you don't know, because any call that comes out from the White House is through a switchboard. So I was at a public ceremony doing an official act. So regardless of who was calling, I was not going to answer the phone at that moment. But immediately thereafter, after the event, I called back to the White House, and it was the president.
Oh, surprise. Oh, look at that.
Well,
let's just keep that big dumb mug up there. Well, what did he want to discuss? As I was signing the election results that were kicking him out of office, and he's a big, fat, sore loser. He's a big, dumb idiot. What was it? It could have been anything. I was shocked that it was actually, believe it or not, it was the White House calling. I was shocked it was literally the president. Yeah, surprise. What did we talk about? Oh, I couldn't possibly. I need a fan. I couldn't possibly say. Oh, I wonder. Let's find out if we know now.
I keep my conversations with the president in confidence, and I'm going to continue to keep that policy.
Certify the election.
I said that I'm going to keep the conversation in confidence, but I think it's important that I answer that question directly, and the answer is no.
And look, I don't want to speak out of turn here or speculate on a conversation I didn't hear, but I think it's safe to assume that Trump was probably spouting conspiracy theories and demanding that Ducey...
Just for the record, Ducey said the answer's no. Let's find out if Ducey was lying.
delivered 10,000 votes to Trump, while Ducey insisted that there was no evidence of voter fraud. Just, a hunch. And of course, it wasn't just Arizona. Between November 2020 and January 2021, Trump called Republicans across the country hoping to force them to change the outcome of the election. He lost Georgia by over 11,000 votes, Wisconsin by 20,000 votes, and Pennsylvania by 80,000 votes. Trump pushed Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger to find those votes that would overturn the election results in Georgia. Raffensperger repeatedly told Trump that there was no evidence of fraud, but Trump insisted that there was nothing wrong with saying that you've recalculated before asking the Georgia Republican to find 11,780 votes that didn't exist. Trump then made thinly veiled threats about Raffensperger facing criminal prosecution if he didn't follow Trump's instructions. And don't just take my word for it, because Trump is as subtle as a 15-car pileup. He committed this crime on a recorded line.
We have won this election in Georgia based on all of this. And there's nothing wrong with saying that, Brad. You know, I mean, having a correct, the people of Georgia are angry. And these numbers are going to be repeated on Monday night, along with others that we're going to have by that time, which are much more substantial even. And
he never presented the numbers.
the people of Georgia are angry. The people of the country are angry. And there's nothing wrong with saying that, you know, that you've recalculated.
Well, Mr. President, the challenge that you have is the data you have is wrong.
Now, do you think it's possible that they shredded ballots in Fulton County?
You think maybe?
That's what the rumor is. And also that Dominion...
Do you think it's possible, as in just floating it out there? That's what the rumor is, as in I don't have evidence. All right, this is all interesting so far, but it is old news. Hilarious to go over. Cracking up, frankly, at Ducey. At Ducey being put on the spot like that. Let me see. Let's dwell on the new stuff. I'm hoping after this Georgia recording we get it clearly laid out what the new stuff is. Come on.
Dominion took out machines. That Dominion is really moving fast to get rid of their machinery. Do you know anything about that? Because that's illegal.
This is Ryan, Germany. No, Dominion has not moved any machinery out of Fulton County. We're having.
Well, but have they moved? Have they moved the inner parts of the machines and replaced them with other parts?
No.
You sure,
Huh?
Ryan?
I'm sure.
You should want to have an accurate election. And you're a Republican.
We believe that we do have an accurate election.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't have. Not even close. You're off by hundreds of thousands of votes. You know what they did, and you're not reporting it. That's a criminal offense. And you can't let that happen. That's a big risk to you and to Ryan, your lawyer. That's a big risk.
This guy whose name I just learned. That's a big risk. It's so clownish. It's so clownish. It's ridiculous. There's just no subtlety at all with this guy. And the wild thing is, he needs to exist there because he cannot, neither of them can exist in the realm where they just come out and say what they're thinking. And it's so sad to see officials representing us have to speak in code like this. Like, look, just tell him he lost. Like, hey, you lost. We counted it. We double checked. You're wrong. I don't know who's talking to you. They lied. You want to send some federal person to do it? All right, send some federal person, if the law exists to let you do that, to come count the votes. But you don't have, certainly, my blessing, because I did count these votes. And it's perfectly legitimate. You're lying. Because you lost. Wouldn't that be something? Just to hear honest talk out of these folks. Similarly with Trump, I heard there was a problem. Could they have switched out the parts? Why are you dancing around this? If you're gonna be a dictator, then take an honest whack at it. Be like, look, I don't like the result, so that's not the result. Give me the result I want to see, and call me when it's done. At least be an honest scumbag. All right, let's get to the new evidence. I want to see it.
But they
Enough
are
reminiscing.
shredding ballots, in my opinion, based on what I've heard, and they are
Based on what I've
removing
heard.
machinery, and they're moving it as fast as they can. Both of which are criminal fines, and you can't let it happen, and you are letting it happen.
God.
You know, I mean, I'm notifying you that you're letting it happen.
Oh, notified.
So, look, all I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have, because we won the state.
Oh, my God.
So tell me, Brad, what are we going to do? We won the election, and it's not fair to take it away from us like this.
And of course, Trump's indictment in Fulton County for that quote-unquote perfect phone call is expected at any moment. And to be clear, Trump didn't just try to overturn the election by pressuring public officials. The former president, his lawyers, and his allies filed scores of lawsuits filled with conspiracy theories. Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell, Jenna Ellis all acted as Trump's crack legal team, with Giuliani standing in Pennsylvania as his face was melting, insisting that Trump won Pennsylvania by 300,000 votes, while Powell complained that communist money was stealing elections through voting machines. And of course, his legal team wouldn't make these claims to a judge because they're a
Crack legal team is a good way to put it.
consequences to lying in court, but that certainly didn't stop them from spouting these lies in public. When U.S. District Judge Matthew Brand pressed Giuliani in court about the nature of fraud, Giuliani admitted, quote, "This is not a fraud case." Trump's cases were so detached from reality that he was laughed out of court in over 60 cases, often by judges who he himself appointed. And so the fact that Trump called Ducey to pressure him into rejecting the results of the Arizona election isn't surprising. He is a narcissist with no fear of consequences and whose only priority is maintaining his grip on power. One consolation, though, is that accountability is finally catching up with him. Special counsel Jack Smith is currently investigating Trump's role in the January 6th insurrection, a fake elector scheme, and other forms of election interference. And as I mentioned before, Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis is also gearing up to pursue an August indictment of Trump related to his calls with Brad Raffensperger in Georgia. The Ducey and Raffensperger calls provide a sneak peek into some of the potential evidence that Jack Smith and Fani Willis have in their cases to hold Trump accountable for his attempts to undermine democracy and subvert the transfer of power. We all saw the part where he fucked around. Now comes the part where he finds out. Before you go, I need some help. Please subscribe to the channel and do your part to help grow the progressive media ecosystem. I don't do sponsorships or paid ads.
Boo. Boo, I say. Where was the new evidence? We had rehashed old evidence. Oh well. It was still a lovely walk down memory lane. Maybe they slipped it in there. I don't know, but if you need that much vamping around it, then it's not. Was it worth doing the thing on? I don't know. I'll tell you this. I definitely enjoyed refreshing the memory on how much this guy tried to screw with the election. We can't have it. And there should not even be a question of whether or not he is allowed to run again. This guy betrayed our country. We do have laws on the books that say if you betrayed the very foundations of what we are trying to do here, you can't be boss of it. You certainly cannot hold public office at all. We dealt with this already. Post-Civil War, we dealt with this. Dust off those books. Crack them open. Read the law, apply the law. It's not terribly complicated. Only reason it's being made to seem like it is because we have a bunch of all too hesitant cowards who were appointed to be cowardly by the very people that they would be in charge of busting, which is the rich and powerful. Good news is they have seen our displeasure and are finally getting around to, doing their jobs. Let's see what y'all have to say. Give Jake a thumbs up, says Dino. Yes, indeed. Please do, and much appreciated. Hello, Janie Buck. Hello, Wireless Mike. Yes, indeed. Dawned on me. Hello. I'm really worried that the lack of consequences for Trump is really hurting democracy. The newspapers in South Carolina wrote out and out lies in support of Trump. Ooh, good Lord. I'll have a look at those. If you can send me an article that references what you're talking about, I would love to do a piece on it and then ask them for comment and put them in the awkward position of having to either respond or get the we asked them for comment and didn't respond line, which is the ultimate slap in the face to a newsman. Do share, because that's troubling. And I agree with you. The lack of consequences are the problem. These folks see what they are allowed to get away with, and they do no less than that. And if it looks like they can do more, they will. They have no morality, truly. There's no, and I am saying they're bad people that are MAGA politicians. But I'm not saying they're just that. It's deeper. They literally don't have a moral framework for what they do. They have a series of positions of authority that they've been told they must listen to, and it generally goes whoever's the man of the house, whoever's the leader of the church, whoever is the person wearing a badge. But there is no, the people who actually run for office and become MAGA politicians, I have never seen them adhere to a set of morals that are universal, that are not contextual at all, but literally based on principles of how human beings should act, which is a weird thing to see. It's so weird that it's hard for me to explain clearly, obviously, but have a look for it. You will never see these people puzzling over what would be the morally correct thing to do, or showing a genuine bit of confusion as they try to work out the right and wrong of something. It's bizarre to see. It's always well, yeah, I know this is right because I was told this is right. So yes, without authority demonstrating for them what will or will not be accepted, they're going to get worse. All right, I got something that I really want to watch with you guys live. This is the first time cracking into it. Let's have a gander. Thank you to Franny P for this suggestion. It's the exact sort of thing that I want to crack into here. And we've had a couple of attempts. I will figure out a way to formalize this, but I want to figure out what someone is thinking, what they're honestly thinking when they're talking about when they decide they're going to vote for MAGA politicians, when they're going to vote for Trump. Because I'll tell you, going into this, having seen nothing but the thumbnail and the first frame and the title, I don't have a firm understanding. It makes me nervous. That's 74 million voters I don't really understand. I do think that if I had to guess, I think they see destruction in Trump, and that is what they want. I think they literally want to tear down what America is. And truth be told, I don't blame them for having that instinct. I do not. I just think the sad irony is that they don't realize we're already in the gutter. And if we tear down what little we have, that's only going to make it harder for us to rise up out of it. And it's going to make their lives harder, not easier. So let's see if somebody, a former Trump supporter, has realized that. Probably not, but the heart goes on hoping.
Hi, I'm Bruce. I'm a registered Republican, live in the state of Ohio, have all my life. I spent 13 years in the Marine Corps Reserves. I spent 32 years as a union millwright in the building trades of Ohio. I like people that are straight talking, say what you do what you say. That's who I thought I was voting for. You always complain that politicians lie. You have lied to us the entire time you've been in office. Your first example of lying to us, and I have several, obviously everybody knows it, was your taxes. Every president in modern history has submitted their taxes, and you told us you would when your audit was complete. We had no reason to doubt you. Why would we doubt you? Every president has turned over his taxes, even the people running for office. Mr. President, you took your taxes all the way to the Supreme Court, and there's a grand jury investigation right now into some of your business transactions, and you've again appealed that. You've continued to lie to us. What do you have to hide?
Okay. First of all, calling out a mistake I made in this very segment. There really is no such thing as a generic Trump supporter. When there's 74 million of somebody, you can't just say there is the standard whatever of them. Hell, when there's 10 million of somebody, when there's 1 million of somebody, there's really not a generic version of that person anymore. I'll say this is the kind of guy that I was hoping most MAGA folks would have turned out to be. But he is also the kind of guy that I know most MAGA folks have not turned out to be. That is to say, actually following what this guy's doing, actually caring about the words he said, and not the wink behind them. He said he would turn over his taxes. I'm surprised that's even still part of the conversation. Of course he didn't, because the man is a liar. This guy is acknowledging that. He's recognizing that. Good. I genuinely wonder if he's being honest right here. Was this really one of the reasons? Was it as simple as all that? Probably. Maybe he is. I don't see any reason for him to fib in this moment. And then I guess my question would be, to make this productive, how do we get more people paying attention to these simple facts? I don't know. Let's let him keep going. Maybe he'll have something else that we can latch onto. Whoopsie daisy.
Let's talk about your second lie, your inauguration. You claim it was the greatest attendance of all. It wasn't well attended. It was raining. You were not the popular choice for president. You were my choice. You won't be again. But, of course, you continue to go on about that for years afterwards. You expect us not to believe what we see? What about Ukraine? You pressured a foreign government to help in our election. And you asked them to investigate one of our citizens. Where does that take us? Well, let's talk about the Congress and the Senate for a few minutes. I mean, the Congress subpoenaed members of his administration to testify over the impeachment. They refused to testify, even though they were subpoenaed. How does an average American say, nope, Congress subpoenaed me and I'm not going. Can you imagine if they subpoenaed us and we refused to go? We would be in jail, every one of us. None of us are above the law, but somehow the members of his administration are. Out of all the things that he's done, I don't even understand that. And I don't even hold it against Trump. I hold it against the members of Congress and the Senate. They allow this behavior.
Yes.
This is atrocious.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know if this man is being honest right now. Maybe he is. And if he is, I think he is certainly not representative of a very large chunk of Trump voters. At least not the ones I've been hearing from. But what the hell? Maybe. Regardless, I think we're going to hear people doing an impression of this guy more and more and more. We've heard how much MAGA memorizes talking points in lieu of actually, MAGA voters memorize talking points in lieu of actually understanding issues. And that's not meant as an insult, but it is. It's a harsh truth. And the reason I can say that with such confidence is because the talking points will often be contradictory. They'll say that Putin is a great man and we should trust him, and they'll also say that Trump was tough on Putin and kept him from invading Ukraine. Well, which is it? Is he a great man that should be trusted? Is he a great man that should be trusted? Or is he someone that needs to be staved off from invading Ukraine? Well, they're not actually thinking about reality. They're just trying to win in a conversation. So as it becomes embarrassing to continue being a Trump supporter, I think they're going to pretend like they had really pulled out in their hearts. I know I still had that obnoxious goddamn sticker on my car well into 2023, maybe early 2024. But in my heart, I had stopped being a Trump supporter a couple years back, right around the time that my talking points come from. They're going to start memorizing these things, and that's what the dismount is going to look like. That's going to be people leaving the whorehouse saying, I was just going in for a massage, and I was shocked to find out that this Thai massage parlor that was open at 2 a.m. was doing something other than masseuring. We're going to see a lot more of that. Again, whether this guy is the genuine article or not, I think we're going to see a lot of people talking just like him in the near future.
The biggest lie you told us was about the virus. My God, you said it was 5 times more deadly than the flu, extremely more contagious, and asymptomatic. You knew that February 7th, and you did nothing. You didn't call on our great companies in this country to make masks, make all our PPE that we required. Oh, eventually you did. But I know from being in the industry, you don't just get that equipment overnight. It takes planning. It takes process. It takes leadership, of which you have none. You've led, but only for your own personal self-interest. And Mr. President, as of today, there's 195,000 people dead in 6 months. 6 months! My God, we lost 406,000 people.
Wow, did we blow past that? Huh? So this is a guy from way back when, clearly. Really disappointed that it's not a modern MAGA person. But I'll tell you, I have a feeling somebody sounding just like this is going to crop up here and there and then everywhere. I think we're seeing stuff like this more often for 2 reasons. Number one, because you are going to hear it more often because it is becoming exhausting, if you're a Trump supporter, to keep up with all of the nonsense that you have to memorize for this guy to not be a criminal. Oh, the documents, he had a right to declassify them, but they were, it was just a newspaper anyway, and also he didn't actually RAPE Eugene Carroll, because in New York, with their laws, just forcing your fingers inside someone isn't constituted, it doesn't constitute that particular charge. That's just sexual assault. It's going to get harder and harder and more embarrassing. And frankly, it's just going to be more and more tiring. And their problems still have not gone away. That whole tearing down of things didn't help all that much. They got 4 years of it. And they're worse off. So, I think we're going to hear more like this guy, even though this is an old clip that is playing on a relatively new channel. I think there's value in it because I think these sorts of talking points are going to circulate around as the dismount for Trump.
World War II, a war that lasted 4 years and covered the entire world. And we lost 190-some thousand Americans already. You failed to acknowledge the fact that we were at war with this virus. So, but there's no agenda going into 2021. Where is his plan? What are his proposals?
Jesus.
More of the same? More of the same lies? More driving us further and further into debt? More and more tax breaks for the wealthy?
Boom.
Where are we going? It's the party of Trump now. It's not Republicans. Is there any other thing they've done in the last 4 years other than cut taxes for the wealthy?
I have talked about this from the jump. So let's talk about it on the other side. One angle where we can work with MAGA, and by the way, this is why it's important not to lie to them. Don't pretend like we're pals, because we're not pals. We are mortal enemies. In all things but a few. So if you're honest with them about that, they'll trust that you're honest with them about this. Neither of us, by which I mean leftists and the MAGA folks, neither of us are pleased with tax breaks for the wealthy. Yes, I realize there are going to be some MAGA folks that think it's great because they haven't even scratched the surface of how that works. They just heard Tim Pool say it or whatever. But by and large, the ideology being a populist ideology doesn't take kindly to rich people getting away with stuff that the rest of us don't get to get away with. That's why messaging like this is so important. Rep. Jim Jordan trying to tap into the populism and finding it doesn't work. Remember, says Jim Jordan, if the FBI can do it to a presidential candidate, they can do it to you too. Representative Nadler, having learned from the last 5 years. Absolutely correct, Mr. Chairman. Anyone in this country who steals classified documents and then lies repeatedly to the government about returning them will probably get a visit from the FBI. Yeah. That's how to address this stuff. And truth be told, I don't think you could ask for a better time in our country's history, short of immediately following the Great Depression, for chopping down these billionaires. So what do I think of that clip from, what was it, 2020? Okay. Of a Republican dissatisfied with MAGA. I think that's incredibly useful for hearing for understanding the kinds of things that we are going to be hearing from MAGA as they look for the out. As they just get too tired of making excuses for the same freaking guy. Well, they got their own problems that have not gone away. They gave him a bite at the apple. Some of them voted to give him 2 bites at the apple. What did they get? A whole bunch of them went to prison on his behalf. Literally, a whole bunch of them lost their freedom for him. Some of them died for him. And what did he give them? Nothing. A whole lot of them lost family. And when they're trying to get that family back, they will try to keep their dignity. They will not have, from what I've seen, have the humility to say, I was wrong, I was lied to, and I fell for it. I respect the hell out of people that have the balls to admit fault like that. Most of these folks won't. Regular folks have a real hard time doing that at all. And in doing something where people actually got hurt, admitting responsibility for that, that's a hard thing. So what will they do? I expect to see a whole lot of this. What they're familiar with, memorizing talking points. What can you do? Provide them with the talking points they need. Circulate through your social media reasons that you feel MAGA was let down by Trump. I get why you liked him, you could say, because he was talking real bad about billionaires and how corrupt the system was for billionaires. But then what did he do? He made more billionaires by making way more people dirt poor. He stole from you harder. That's what he did. He made his friends rich at the expense of you and your family. That's what he did. He gave Jared Kushner the ability to sell out America for a silly business deal where Kushner got, what was it, $3-4 billion for a garbage piece of property. Provide them talking points. Keep them short. Keep them easy to memorize. Make it so that you can understand it entirely through and through in one sentence. Provide those so that when people want to leave, they can express they can do so with, a complimentary mint at the door. The ability to express why they are leaving other than to say, I don't know, I didn't know what I was doing then, I don't really know what I'm doing now, I just know this guy is insane and I'm sick of dealing with him. That's going to be too much. So give him something with a little more dignity. Links in description if you want to look over that video. Mars Falcon, they are gassed up and ready to commit whatever atrocity against whichever target they are aimed at. Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of them are. I think a lot of them, though, are just plain tired. Unfriendly Atheist, hello. Good to see you. And Eliel, hello to you as well. Wireless Mike, contrast this guy with the guy in the video I sent to the website today. Okay. Baby, we're going to do it. Let's have a gander. It's going to involve a solid... Was it alarming foreign... Was it the Midas Touch thing about the foreign connections? As I look at the form sheet here. Whoop. It just keeps getting worse. Yeah, I think so. Richard Hinckley, I appreciate that Wicked actually provides actionable advice that a normal person can follow. It's in the name, but what more? But more than that, you do it. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. That's what we're trying for, man. And ooh, okay, it's the TYT thing. All right, let me jump back. I got. Yep, I see it. Perfect. Great suggestion. Let's fire it up. All right, suggestion from Wireless Mike here. And you know what? I'm going to have the chutzpah here to actually do a full segment. Got a suggestion from Wireless Mike. Much appreciated, my friend. We are looking at contrasting the last Trump supporter, which we showed on the stream here, with someone from a TYT video today. Now, I'm going to guess... just based off momentary pessimism, that it's very different, a very different tune. But I hope not. I hope this is somebody who is looking for a way out. That's what I'm going to be listening for. But probably not. Let's find out. This is from TYT.
There's audio tape of him with classified documents, sharing them with people who didn't have that security clearance. Does any of that bother you?
No, I think they've been after him so long that all of this is just a witch hunt like he described it. I don't think there's anything Trump's done wrong.
Okay. Let me start with what he just did right there is so important to understand. He jumped straight to a talking point, to a phrase he's had drilled into his head over and over. Witch hunt. I know what witch hunt means. I can expand upon that by just rephrasing it in longer sentences and make it seem like I think about it a lot. But he didn't think about it a lot. So provide the same thing. What's a similar phrase? You could say he bailed out his buddies. What did he do in office when he finally had the opportunity to help you? He just bailed out his buddies. In COVID, the rich got richer when Trump was in charge. He just bailed out his buddies. Kushner got a cushy deal from Saudi Arabia. Trump was just bailing out his buddies. This is a guy who's enjoying the sport of it. This is a guy who enjoys going to these places, knowing that all he has to do to piss off a whole lot of people that he doesn't like is put on his neo-Confederate hat there and recite talking points, which he's memorized because a racist in a suit screamed it at him over and over on Fox. But look at the kind of talking points that he uses and figure out for yourself how you can invert those for when people are ready to leave. Because I promise you this guy has family that does not talk to him anymore about this. I mean, over this. He has lost family.
I think that the desperate opposition is just after him. I mean, they started out, and they've been after him 8 different ways, and they're going to keep after him until they can get him in jail, I think.
They went after Richard Nixon, they went after Bill Clinton, and now the courts in several different states are finding different things about Trump. Is there anything that could happen with him indictment-wise that would say, all right, maybe this disqualifies him for president?
Not for me. I'm with him to the finish.
All right, thank you so much.
He could stand on the front steps of the White House and commit murder, and I'm with him.
I really want to hear this.
Explain that to me. That's amazing. I mean,
look,
what did he do for you? That is the question I want to know.
The only man we've ever had in my lifetime that stood for America as president. Now,
in what way did he stand for America?
I was a George Herbert Walker Bush man and all that, but they don't anybody compare to Donald Trump. He loves this country, and that's why I love him.
What has made you believe that he loves this country? He paid more taxes to China than he did to the United States. What makes you think he loves this country? That's another, by the way, true thing you can rattle off to when people are ready to abandon this punk. Offer them that. Remember, Trump paid more taxes to China than to the U.S., so he loves China more.
I'm going to push back a little bit because, and you're, I'm guessing, a couple of months older than me, but I'm going to say that, you know, looking back at some presidents like Eisenhower, like LBJ, like Gerald Ford, like, you know, Reagan, Bush, who you mentioned, what about them didn't stand for America in the same way that Trump does?
You know, I think it's got to do with the times we're living in. America's being assaulted. Open borders, you know all the issues. We all know the issues. And nobody stood under the attack.
Now, right there, listen to that rhetorical point. Open borders. You all know the issues. We all know the issues. Okay, so all you've got when you want to say America was assaulted, that you're comfortable saying, let's say, Mr. MAGA hat, was open borders. If you were to ask him specifically what that means, he would give you a nonsensical answer. Again, it's just a talking point. It's not all fighting fire with fire. A lot of times that's nonsensical, but there is such a thing as a fire line. It is sometimes done. It is sometimes the best option. To that end, definitely get those talking points ready. And also, provide the awkward social pressure necessary to make guys like this squirm when they say things like this. So, if your crazy Uncle Dan or whatever is saying this kind of stuff, just ask those follow-up questions. Ask for specifics and say, I really don't know. I did not get the sense our country was being assaulted. At least after 9/11, I didn't. Explain to me, what do you mean by open borders? Because the numbers that I have seen simply don't match up with that. What do you mean? Oh, people are pouring in over the borders. I mean, the policy didn't change from Trump to Biden. And the only time the policy really changed under Trump, I mean, you don't even have to go that deep. You don't even have to go that deep. I'm going unnecessarily deep with it. Make it easier. Make it easier than that. Open borders. People are pouring in. In my daily life, I don't see a lot of illegal immigrants. At least, I mean, I've seen plenty of brown-skinned people, but I haven't seen people that I know to be illegal immigrants. The crime stats certainly don't reflect that we have illegal immigrants over here committing crimes. So unless they're doing something I don't know about, it's not an issue. So enlighten me. And they just won't be able to. That's how you make them want to change. Is you just make it tiring to hold the position that they have.
That Trump stood under.
Tiring and embarrassing, because they'll only be able to be revealed for lying about these things so often before they're too beat red to continue.
And look what he's done. He's hanging in there. He's for us. He loves this country. And I'm going to support him to the end. I hope he wins. We need him.
Last question for you, because then you got to go in. What would he have done differently than President Biden that would have made you think that he would have been a better president?
President Biden, you know, Biden to me, if he had not been a career politician, he might have been better. But he's lived in Washington all his life. I think we need term limits. I think we need to stop all these old.
Once again, the talking points, and a revealing one this time. He could not pinpoint what he doesn't like about Biden. He could not. Because all of their talking points relied on identity. For all of their whining about identity politics, who was the one actually doing it? Y'all. Y'all were doing it. Obama was a crazy socialist. Hillary, a radical feminist. That Hillary Clinton. Obama was a Muslim. Barack Hussein Obama, jihad guy. If they actually looked at these people as people, there would be some real devastating criticisms they could level against them. But hilarious that their kryptonite is just a guy that they can't pigeonhole. Amazing. Also, worthy of note, Biden has been the most milquetoast guy. Really run of the mill. To the point where the people that actually pay attention to this stuff are made furious by it so much of the time. But such an interesting closing point there, and sometimes that really is where you get the best stuff, man. This guy, he just he has nothing, and he jumps back to a totally different talking point, or rather, I guess a talking point which to me, there's just no pep to it, which is a career politician. I'm not gonna look at Mitch McConnell, but a career politician. Oh, that's bad.
People from running Washington D.C. is corrupt.
For the record, I am all for, irony of ironies, the term limits that he's talking about. At least I don't have a strong objection to them. Oh, so wrong that he accidentally becomes right. I love it.
Well, the old people, I mean, Trump isn't, there's not a huge difference in age.
Yeah, I should rephrase that. The old people that's been in Washington all their life. That's what America's tired of.
What is it?
True, though. True. Brother, welcome to the light side. Let me take that nasty red lightsaber, hand you the blue one. Welcome to the light side, my friend. That is what America's tired of. Oh, it surely is. Let's install some term limits, and let's do it for the Supreme Court too. Hell, we can get rid of that thing. I'm up for that altogether. But hey, while we're at it, while we're working towards that, let's toss in some term limits for that. Let's toss in term limits for just about everyone. Do it like the Navy, an up or out policy. I am just fine with a lot of what this guy is saying. And it's hilarious to me that he's accidentally winding up with agreement with a pretty far left dude in an attempt to pretend like Trump was anything but an absolute criminal villain.
That you like about Donald Trump?
Well, he's got two good boys that are hunters, and he stands for American values is what I love about him.
Christ.
I just think he's one of us. Instead, I know he's very rich, but he has our values, and has
Bull.
our back.
Describe that for me. What are your values that Donald Trump shares with you then?
Parents in control of their children, being able to make choices for your family.
What?
Instead of having somebody tell you what to do,
Making sure
But
they
I
don't
really
have
wanna see
choices for
Donald
themselves.
Trump win. I think Donald Trump has the heart of the country in mind, and I think that he's the man for the job right now.
Oh, amazing. That conversation, I promise you, was exhausting for that guy to have. And if you can recreate that conversation on a one-to-one basis with people in your community, I think you're going to be delighted by the results you get. Wonderful suggestion, wireless mic. Yeah, that's the person we got to wear down to turn into the person from the earlier segment. The person who has taken some time to memorize talking points about why they no longer like Trump. And by the way, that will give them a strange new energy. Because they have been doing politics, believe it or not, in hard mode. It's easy doing leftist politics. It's real easy. You just look at data, which which pretty clearly points to smart policy, and you say, we'll take the smart policy, please. This guy's going to get talking points that he's going to memorize. You'll provide it to whoever this person, man or woman, ends up being in your life. And when they get, they get tired of being gently corrected in an incredibly embarrassing way, they get tired of that, they're going to start rattling off some of these talking points, and they're going to find people, try to fact check them. They're going to go, oh, here we go. I'm going to get proven to be an idiot again. And then the fact check's going to come back, and they're going to be right. And, oh, that's going to feel good. And then they're going to chase that feeling. And you're going to have a lot of people who are suddenly very excited to talk about why they no longer like Trump. Great suggestion, Wireless Mike. Mars Falcon. He stands for American values. Name one. 1. Parents control children. 2. Number 1 was it. Yes, exactly. Richard Hinckley. That's the worst value. Making choices for other people and controlling your children's lives. Wow. Yeah. Very, very poignant. Where's Jesus didn't charge? I missed him. Oh. Andrew Then, good to see you. There's a website. There is. When I remember to pay the damn bill. There is, yes. And it is mostly paid. So, yeah, that's WYCDnetwork.com. Patrick Kibido, I love Michael Schur. He breaks his questions down as simply as he possibly can, mostly because he knows it will lead to conversations like that. Wholeheartedly agree. And John Bailey, I need to smoke more weed. I also wholeheartedly agreed. And I live in Michigan, so I'm going to go crack into it. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been WYCD Wicked. That stands for What You Can Do. Thank you so much for joining me today on this middling Monday. I don't know. We got to come up with an M word. Tomorrow's a 2 for Tuesday, which means we will have 2, count 'em 1, 2 streams. Looking forward to that. And hope maybe we'll just have one of them be me making fun of my inability to properly schedule a Saturday stream. Do a Let's Watch together. Regardless, this has been WYCD Wicked. That stands for What You Can Do. My name's Jake.